Hello there and welcome back my friends. Today we are having another quick look at the Fluval Flex Marine 123 Aquarium. It has been pretty much bang on 6 months since I got this tank going. Now it's 6 months old. I feel like I'm in a better place to talk about it, having lived with it for 6 months. I can tell you kind of the flaws with it and things that I think maybe need to change, or things just to enhance the tank, make it work a little bit better, because this tank's not perfect by any means. I think it's a really good tank, and after 6 months I would definitely recommend it to people 100%. If you're looking for a good beginner marine tank, then this is a very, very solid base to start with. However, there are things that I think could be changed or tweaked, and it's mainly just down to the fact that this is pretty much a freshwater tank that's had a marine light slapped into it. You know, it hasn't been designed specifically for marines. It's just a really nice tank that's had a marine light put into it. So there are things that we need to do as an owner, as a marine keeper, to change it into a decent marine system. So one of the initial problems that I had with this tank, and it was annoying actually as a YouTuber, is the fact that along the bottom here we used to get a lot of build-up of debris on the glass. So pretty much the entire bottom half here, within, I don't know, half an hour of me cleaning it, it would just trap dirt on it. And obviously a lot of people said that's a flow issue. Best thing to do is add a power head along the front, and that's what I've done. So this power head here is just a small seat tray. I think it's 2,000 litres an hour, something like that. Nothing major, nothing special either. It's just a magnetic one with a wire, no controller, nothing adjustable on it. And what that does is it just blasts flow across the bottom half of this tank. You can still see it at the back end here where the flow is a little bit less strong. But in the main area, the main viewing area, it's now clear, stays a lot clearer, less algae build up, and obviously that puts flow a lot more through the rest of the tank. So definitely adding a power head or even 2 power heads to this tank is something I would highly recommend. The next thing I want to highlight is to do with the lid. Now the lid again was designed for the freshwater Fluval Flex, and in the freshwater Fluval Flex I believe you got a Fluval Aqua Sky. In this one you get one of the Bluetooth 3.0s, and this is a more powerful light in terms of wattage and the amount of LEDs than the Aqua Sky, and as a result you get more heat. And over the last 6 months, because of the heat, the lid has bowed, and that's because the heat is mainly in this portion. Even to the touch it's pretty warm, and as a result the lid has slightly warped. Now I don't know if that's going to get worse or if that's kind of it. If that's it, then I'm not really too bothered. The actual amount of gap there isn't really much and it's tolerable. It doesn't really keep me awake at night, but it's just something to be aware of. And obviously you can put a second light into this of the same nature, so if you were to double the light you would double the heat, and you might cause this lid to warp a little bit too much. But the light it comes with is a really, really good strong light. I don't think you'd struggle with any corals in here. I mean, maybe with SPS you would have some problems, but you can see my macroalgae is really flourishing. As I've mentioned in other videos, in the corners it's quite dim, so be aware of that. But in general it's just a really solid light. It works really well. I probably will be upgrading this one though. I'll be removing the lid, getting a glass lid or an acrylic lid made, and then adding something like an AI Hydra on the top there, just to really blast this one and make it a little bit special. So moving into the filtration area of the tank, there are a few niggles and things here which I think could be changed. The first one is actually the filtration media. Now this tank is basically unchanged from freshwater other than the light. So the media you get with it is the media designed for freshwater. And that consists of 2 of these. 2 big lumps of sponges, some carbon and some bio media in there as well. Now this sponge has been running on there for 6 months, and I've just removed it today just to have a look at it, and what's it really done? It hasn't really trapped a great deal. I guess the carbon's done something and the biomedia's done something, but essentially this is running as biomedia. And in a marine tank, the biomedia is the rock anyway, so I kind of feel that these sponges are redundant. And if you were to do this tank properly, marine, what I would suggest you do is either fill the chambers with alpha grog, or sort of maybe use them how I've used them. So I've got one here which is full of fine mesh media, and that is just to act as a mechanical filtration, because the sponges didn't really seem to be doing a lot. And then maybe in here I'd put some alpha grog, or use this as your chemical filtration, and then in the tank itself would be your biological filtration. And that's kind of how marine tanks tend to run. You might notice I'm not running a skimmer, and that's purely because I don't run skimmers on macro tanks, and this is primarily a macroalgae tank and they work fine without it, but there is room there for a skimmer if you wanted to. The question I get asked a lot is about the heater and how I've managed to fit my heater in this compartment here, and that's because I've got the Fluval heater, and this is the M150, I believe. That might be the right code, or it may not, but it's basically the Fluval heater, the really metallic one, and it's thinner than a standard heater. This is a standard heater, and that's the Fluval heater. So you can see there's a difference in the diameter, and that's the reason why this fits in this chamber. There are plastic bits in here which prevent larger heaters from fitting in that area. So if you want to put your heater in there, it's going to have to be one of these Fluval ones, or if you can find a really thin heater from somewhere else, then that will be your solution. And then we're going to look at the pump in here. Now, the pump that it comes with is perfectly fine. It's reasonably quiet and it kicks out a decent amount of flow. But I would suggest as well upgrading this pump. I'm going to upgrade this pump to a more powerful Eheim pump, just to get a bit more flow. In a marine tank, flow is quite key, and this is fine for freshwater, but probably not the best for marine. One thing this one has, which I think is weird, is the fact that the tube that it's connected to doesn't quite reach the bottom. So the pump in this is actually floating probably about 1 millimeter off the bottom glass. Now that sounds okay, whether it's just this one or you know, it's just a design that they've done. What it does allow the pump to do is wobble around quite a bit, and what I find is over a period of time it will work its way into the corner or against the glass, and you'll get this noise. So every now and then what I have to do is come along and readjust it, just so it's off the sides. So it might just be the fact that I've got a weird model that's got a slightly too short pipe, or it might be designed that way. Either way, I would feel that it'd be probably a good idea to make the length of the tube a little bit longer so it touches the bottom, and also, if you can, upgrade the pump to just something with a bit more flow to it. But everything I've just said there is little niggles. They're not major problems. They're easily solved, and you can run this tank as is out of the box with no problems. But the things I've just suggested are improvements, and that's actually what makes this tank ideal for starter marine keepers, is the fact that what you get in the box is perfectly fine, and you can kind of cut your teeth on it as a marine tank. And as you progress in the hobby, as you learn new techniques and new things, perhaps you want to keep different corals and things, you can upgrade it. So this is one of those tanks that you buy it as a beginner and then you upgrade it as you go, and you don't have to buy an entirely new system. You can actually just modify it as you go, and it can become the most high-tech marine tank you could possibly think of. It's like a fixer-upper car, if you know what I mean. It'll run, it'll get you to the shops, but if you want to take her off-road, then you might need to do some modifications. The fish and the livestock in here are doing really well. I've got a pair of black clowns in here. They've only been introduced in the last week. They had a bit of a thrashing by the Royal Grammar, which is why they've got a few nips out their tails, but they've settled down now. The mollies are doing really well. This is my second generation marine mollies. So these have been bred and born in salt water. They're loving it. They look a little bit like balloons at the moment, but hopefully they'll lengthen out. I've got a Royal Grammar in there. I have got a mandarin, which I struggled to film, but there he is. Also lurking in there somewhere is a blue pipefish, and this kind of setup with the macroalgae is an absolute dream for these kind of fish because there are tons of copepods and amphipods in there for them to eat. I still have a little bit of hair algae. I did go through a pretty brutal hair algae stage. There was hair algae and also there was bryopsis everywhere. I thought I was going to lose this tank to destruction, but actually all I had to do was add a little bit of caulerpa, and now the caulerpa is flourishing and the hair algae is disappearing. So that just shows you about how to balance systems. You can outcompete one pest with another. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I might do another upgrade video when I add the lights and change the pump. Let me know what you think, if that's worth doing, or I might just do another update in 3 months or so. Let me know what your opinion is on that, and also if you like the video, please remember to leave a like below, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already. So once again, thank you for watching and happy fish keeping.